There's an old saying that goes, be careful what you wish for. While many people wish for internet fame, expectation rarely meets reality. And oftentimes, having your face and name out there across the web may have some unintended consequences, especially if you're a creep who likes diapers.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star, how I wonder where you are. Up above the world so high, like a diamond in the sky.
Meet NovaOnline, a man whose reputation truly precedes him, initially going viral on TikTok just for his unorthodox appearance, but now being one of the most hated figures on every social media platform that he frequents. When we last checked in on Nova, he had been thoroughly exposed for inappropriate actions with minors on Discord, and he wasn't handling the consequences too well. My prescription was that some people are just not capable of handling internet attention, and he is clearly one of them, and he should just log off. Unfortunately, he did not, and now he's in even more hot water.
And the relaunch of the Discord server is coming soon. And this time, it's 18 plus.
72 hours later.
I'm never making another Discord server again. This is the fourth.
This is the story of how NovaOnline keeps ruining his life.
The server got nuked! The server! No!
Gabriel Gage, like many Zoomers, was always desperate for internet fame. He'd first start his career by making YouTube videos where he played video games, but he was ultimately lost in the sea of others doing the same exact thing. Not to mention the fact that the gameplay quality was extremely poor and his equipment was really bad, but hey, IShowSpeed managed to blow up under those circumstances, so it's not impossible. But whatever the case, Nova failed to gain any real traction. But once he moved over to TikTok, he would finally get the attention he was craving so much.
Trying Wingstop for the first time. Cajun seasoned fries. Okay. Mildly spicy, but nothing that I can't bear. These are actually pretty decent. 8 out of 10. Mango habanero wings. Oh, wow. Okay, these are very, very spicy. Oh, wow. They're very spicy, but they're still pretty good. 7 out of 10.
This video went absolutely viral, getting millions of views within hours, albeit mostly for the wrong reasons. People basically just made fun of his appearance as the stereotypical Discord moderator, with greasy hair, a neck beard, the whole 9 yards. But for the time being, Nova was seen as relatively harmless, just a weird dude who people like to check in on to see whatever his latest cringe post was. That would all change when he was caught singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star to who he thought was a 14-year-old girl, as well as a number of very unscrupulous DM leaks. People began to further dig into Nova's online history, discovering a list of strange interactions with minors, as well as his, shall we say, unorthodox sexual interests, particularly binkies, diapers, and being a baby in general. This on its own is strange enough, but it definitely gets past the point of no return when you realize he was exchanging his ideas and interests with people under the age of consent. And Nova wasn't exactly handling all of the negative attention and trolling he got as a result in the smartest manner he possibly could have.
This is not a drill. This is not a drill. This is not a drill. My main account just got hacked. I am really working really hard to get it back.
So Nova's chance at becoming a mainstream internet celebrity had officially been blown, as YouTube video after YouTube video was released, calling him out for his irresponsible activities. He did try to get a few jobs in his area, but it wouldn't be long before at least some of the local employers became aware of who he was online and all of the baggage that came along with that. And a lot of them weren't too keen to hire him, at least at that time. With various minimum wage job opportunities ruined, and his face plastered across hundreds of thumbnails calling him a disgusting person, the smart move honestly would have been to quit. The problem is that Nova has developed an addiction to the internet. Before he had blown up, he was just another face in the seemingly endless sea of people trying to make it on YouTube. Now, he was famous, or rather, infamous. He craved validation for his own existence, even if that validation was negative. And that brings us to February of 2025, when my first video about Nova was released. While Nova had been doing his best to hide his strange interests, he wasn't doing a very good job of it, with it being discovered that his Facebook account was following a page called Baby Baby-fur/ABDL caregivers and littles. For the unaware, ABDL refers to adult baby diaper lovers. In other words, adults who like wearing diapers and role-playing as children. It's pretty sickening and generally has a lot of overlap with those who have inappropriate interactions with minors, which makes perfect sense for the subject of today's video. The reason that ABDL stuff is so appealing to them is often because they will identify with their victims. Henceforth, they want to appear to be children and be treated like children while also being around children. I'm not going to get more graphic than that, but that is the idea in these people's minds. With this being discovered, it was immediately reported in a video from Smokey MCC, one of the channels that has been documenting his every move that serves as a very useful resource for following his antics. Nova would instantly pop up in the live stream chat of him and Kiwi Tapes, declaring, "Screw you, Smokey." The other chatters would immediately sniff out this new account and tell him to leave, to which he responded, "All truth will be revealed, and you'll see they were all wrong." He decided to turn British for a moment, telling people in the chat who were making fun of him to piss off, wanker, before finishing on a very ominous message. "You'll see Smokey and Kiwi were wrong about me. It's only a matter of time." He would also personally shoot Smokey an email in regards to the Facebook discovery. "You are asking for a lawsuit, Smokey. I don't even check Facebook that often, and I log on like once every 6 months, so why don't you duck off?" Nova had been out of a job for a good amount of time, and seemingly he was having a hard time getting a new one. This is for a multitude of reasons. It's partially his own laziness, but also partially because, as I said before, some of the local businesses had been informed of his reputation, at least the ones that were contacted by trolls after he stated where he would be working on his TikTok account. This meant he had a lot more time on his hands to make TikToks and try to blow up as much as possible. Maybe he thought he could make enough money from his TikTok that he just wouldn't ever need a real job. In an effort to recapture some sort of notoriety, Nova's content began shifting into a few different directions. If you can't already tell, this guy loves food. The thing he blew up for in the first place was reviewing a fast food item. So a lot of his content from the beginning of 2025 would revolve around his thoughts on some exquisite cuisine, from food reviews to cooking tutorials and everything in between. In this first video, he shows himself opening up a new set of knives to cut up some chicken with and make a delicious lunch.
So, I found this kitchen knife set at a local grocery store for $4 because it was discontinued by the manufacturer. I could not pass up on it. So in this video, we're going to test it out. We're going to take out our knife.
Yeah, from 1683 to 84.
I can't help but get the feeling this is meant to be intimidating in some kind of way. If I didn't know any better, I'd say that a serial killer is in the making here. He would also try to directly recreate the initial success he had by mimicking his first viral video ever, reviewing some Taco Bell items.
Taco Bell released 4 new items. And of course, I'm going to try them all.
This is something you'll see with a lot of formerly popular TikTokers. When things start sliding into the abyss and they've run out of ideas, they will retread the past to try and recapture some semblance of what worked in the first place. One of the most viral memes of Nova from last year was a clip of him at a local business proclaiming his need for some soup.
Can I get a French onion soup, please?
As a result, he would reference this meme again, while also trying out some Middle Eastern cuisine.
You guys may remember the first food review that I did from when I worked at the French onion soup place. It was do souvlaki lamb kebabs with the French onion soup. Today, we're going back to that fateful day. But let's try the lamb itself. Let's just get a piece. Oh. Oh my god. Legendary tenderness, legendary seasoning. And now next up, the news clip that went viral, the German onion soup. You cannot get a French onion soup, please? This is all mine.
Perhaps, given how much you love this food, we can take it as his official endorsement of Gaza in regards to the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. Frankly, his silence on the subject has been deafening, so it's good to hear him finally speak up for Palestine. But referencing memes from his past didn't seem to be working, as the only people watching Nova's content by this point were those who already hated him and wanted to keep up with whatever embarrassing thing he would do next. So for the time being at least, he was doing his best to not feed them, and not get into any more allegations. He wanted some peacetime, and he wanted to enjoy and review some food.
Every meat from Dickie's Barbecue Pit, part 1, because they were out of some of the meats. First up, let's try the turkey. So flavorful, so juicy, and one of my favorite meats at Dickie's period.
Watching this feels like he's trying to use language that someone like Gordon Ramsay would use. So flavorful, so juicy.
So juicy.
But I'm not sure why anyone would want to watch someone like him review food. Whatever the case really is from his perspective, the food review content would continue with him frequently ordering out, which is pretty expensive, but especially for someone with literally no income. In a throwback to what feels like the old days of YouTube, he would attempt to place a PlayStation 3 disc in a PlayStation 5 to see if the system was backwards compatible within 2 console generations.
Right. So, I read something online that PS3 games work on PS5. Now, Sony may not want you to know this, if this actually works, because this is insane. Unsupported disc.
It's hard to say if he ever actually thought this would work or was being intentionally ignorant to bait people into clicking on this TikTok. What isn't hard to say is that he was basically throwing anything at the wall to see what would stick.
So I went to a Vietnamese restaurant after a job interview and the gym, and I figured that I would rate the food I had there. I would have filmed at the restaurant, but I did not feel comfortable filming inside, so...
You have to appreciate the fact that Nova states he went to a job interview and the gym. This is not a normal way to talk about anything. People don't typically preface explanations of their day by adding in totally irrelevant activities that they did before. But the reason he did this is that he wants to communicate to the audience that he is, in fact, not the lazy Discord moderator that everyone sees him as. While many people may point out that he's out of shape, he is exercising. And while many people may also point out that he is unemployed, he insists that he is looking for work. As far as exercise goes, Nova semi-frequently posts videos of himself at the gym, albeit with poor form on every exercise and barely exerting himself at all. He also constantly gets mogged by the 40-year-olds in the background who are actually trying their hardest. On top of that, Nova has relatively poor gym etiquette while he's filming these videos, often talking loudly with headphones on, which makes his voice even louder because he can't hear himself talk, which leads those around him to get upset with him annoying the general gym-going crowd. Take, for example, this video, where he gets scolded by a gym employee after he loudly swears.
Try decreasing 100 pounds, dip.
Excuse me? Could you clean up your language, please?
With him posting his workouts online, a lot of people would accuse him of, well, not exercising very well. But he would make sure to prove to them that he does in fact exercise by hopping on the elliptical for like 4 minutes and posting that to his audience.
Y'all, I'm live, cardioing to the whole GNX album. It's live right now. I hope I pointed at the follow icon. For those of you saying I don't do cardio, here's proof I actually do.
While looking through his exercise videos, I personally have seen no progress from the guy, but hey, we can't all be the trend twins. Maybe Nova subscribes to the idea of being a science-based lifter, and at the end of the day, his all-natural diet of Wingstop and Dr. Pepper will definitely take a little bit longer to get where he wants to be. But he'll get there someday. To be honest, when I watch videos of him trying to work out, I almost feel bad for him. His form is so bad, and he clearly is just filming this stuff to prove to the audience that he is trying to get jacked or trying to exercise and lose weight. I wish someone could just help this dude out so we could see some modicum of muscle development. I don't want to watch 40 more videos of him exercising with bad form, barely lifting any weight, and then complaining about it. But who knows, maybe Greg Doucette will react to him soon and give him some tips and tricks.
Pointless. Pointless. Pointless.
As for the job search, Nova somehow is always applying for jobs. In TikTok after TikTok, he's talking about applying for this job and applying for that job. But somehow, he never manages to get work anywhere.
I also just finished up with a job interview, so I'm rewarding myself with a pesto pizza.
It's not entirely known how honest he's being about these supposed job interviews. On one hand, it is true that looking up his name online will yield a lot of very unfortunate results. At the same time, Nova is mostly applying to grocery stores, gas stations, and fast food places, which aren't necessarily keen on going through someone's entire digital footprint before hiring. Most of these places are happy to have almost anyone working there, as long as they aren't a violent felon who just got out of jail. So it's likely that there is some level of dishonesty whenever he talks about these jobs. But how dishonest he is difficult to say. With this extensive downtime in mind, Nova would begin a new arc, cleaning his house. Through a series of videos, Gabe could be seen talking about cleaning out all of the clutter in his home, which from photos can be seen to be a mess of unvacuumed floors and hoarder-style piles of boxes and trash.
This is part. Hopefully it's part 13 or part 12. But this is either part 12 or 13 to the house cleaning saga. It's not a lot of progress, but it's still progress. So while I have some dinner cooking for my family, I did some dishes and did some other ones to prep for other washing. Also, I've noticed that every time that I get the counter a little bit messy or whatever, it's been so much easier to clean up. So really, in reality, when I do this house cleaning saga, I am really actually making things easier for myself in the future. Do it now, get it out of the way, and do it most of it before spring cleaning.
For context, Nova is 20 years old, so it's interesting to see someone his age realize, perhaps for the first time, that if you do something now, like cleaning, you won't have to do it later. What he doesn't seem to have realized is the next step, which is that if you regularly clean your house, it won't reach the state that Nova's house is in right now, with boxes and trash piled up everywhere, dirty floors, a messy kitchen, etc. He's almost reaching Asmund Gold levels of disgusting. It makes me think his parents didn't spend much time teaching him how to do basically anything when he was growing up, and as a result, he's coming to conclusions and learning lessons that people usually realize when they're 10 years old, but he's realizing it about a decade later. The problem with Nova doing almost anything, though, comes down to work ethic, or lack thereof. Within just a few videos in this series, he began complaining about how tired he was from cleaning his house.
So I was gonna do a part because I can't clap right now, I did the snap. I was gonna do a part 12 to the house cleaning saga, but this right behind me is the worst part of the house because this has to be done in multiple parts. So I'll just show you what I've got clean so far. It is like 11:30 at night right now. The energy in me was zapped, so I didn't get much done. Like, as I said, I removed the Keep Calm and Carry On and put it up on my wall. And then I'm gonna bag up all these clothes in the morning and take up a lot less space. And then I'm also gonna drag them down to the laundromat when I can. And then pretty soon, that part of my floor will be usable again after I don't know how long. But that's what's upcoming. And I'll show you a before and after photo.
I'm not even sure what made him so tired, considering the fact that all he was doing was picking things up and throwing them in trash bags. But maybe it had to do with the fact that instead of using his hands, he brought a literal snow shovel in the house to get things out of the way. This brought him a decent amount of mockery, but also a lot of questions. Namely, why would you use a snow shovel, made for snow, to clean up your McDonald's wrappers? And as a result of the mockery and questions from this incident, the cleaning arc would come to an end.
Also, I just wanted to give an update on the house cleaning saga, so house cleaning saga streams will no longer happen, but the videos will continue. As you can see, I've gotten a ton of dishes done. They're all right here. They just need to dry and they're waiting to be put away. Be on the lookout for some more cleaning videos in the near future as I try to improve how my house looks.
By looking through his TikToks, within just a week or so, he had already given up, referring to himself as the guy who used to be known for cleaning his house.
I had a thought earlier, like, y'all know me as the food review guy, the karaoke guy, the guy that tried to do a house cleaning saga, but kind of failed on that and is now cleaning his room at his own pace, but
brushing aside the fact that none of these things are what he is known for, it's strange that he refers to it as at his own pace, considering the pace was always decided by him. Unless some supernatural force was controlling the pace at which he cleaned his home before this point, and I am just unaware of it. His aversion to doing basically anything that requires the smallest amount of effort would also bleed into other aspects of his life. If you've seen my last video about Nova, you may remember that one extra stream of income he had coming in was from Cameo. It's a site where you can send celebrities a short script and pay them to read it. People generally were dissatisfied with their purchases when it came to his page.
Because of how disappointed I was, I gave him a 1-star review. And immediately he decided to text me, DM me on Discord saying, "Why did you rate my Cameo 1 star?" And then I proceeded to explain how I was just disappointed with it, and he just said, "I am just afraid to get bad reviews."
Well, Nova still offers this service, but this, too, he would find a way to complain about. For those waiting for a cameo, I have 16 pending requests right now, as I've been in high demand as of late. Obviously, he has to add in that he is in high demand, as if these people are anything but trolls trying to squeeze some content out of him. A cameo is at max a 2-minute long video on average, and all it really is reading a script or giving a short shout out to whoever the buyer asks you to shout out. This is not some Herculean task that leaves you bedridden for the rest of the day. With this 2-minute benchmark in mind, this means that at most it would take Nova around half an hour to 40 minutes to record all of these videos. And considering that he charges $17 per cameo, he could pull in a solid $272 from recording those videos. He's currently unemployed and apparently needs that money, but apparently getting this relatively easy task out of the way is simply too much for him. He would rather spend his time on his new business, making bracelets.
Tori placed a NovaCord paracord order. Let's ship it out. You ordered 2 bracelets, two-tone bracelets. You ordered a blue and beige, which honestly, I really like this one. And you also ordered a hot pink and beige. This one is definitely the best looking one.
Paracord is a kind of rope usually used in survival situations and is generally considered a pretty strong material. For whatever reason, Nova had developed a fascination with weaving it into bracelets and selling it online. He took the business so seriously that he even made some business cards for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, my new business cards just arrived in the mail. And let me tell you, I love the way these things turned out. They look absolutely perfect. They got the NovaCord logo.
Look at that subtle off-white coloring. The tasteful thickness of it. Oh my god. It even has a watermark.
Now this is just a prototype signature, but it's a lot better than that's.
By looking at his eBay store, we can see that the reviews for his bracelets are actually pretty positive. If you look for similar bracelets online, you'll find most of them being sold for around $5. And some of them even have useful items attached like compasses or flashlights. Meanwhile, Nova was selling them for $15 a piece. With this in mind, it seems his job search began to slow down, as he saw this bracelet business as a new avenue for him to make money. Maybe he wouldn't even need a job in the end. And the money itself would prove to be super important, as Nova's spending habits began to come into question. In his TikToks, Nova is constantly seen spending money. It seems like he orders a DoorDash almost every day so he can do his food reviews. And on top of that, he orders a number of toys and trinkets frequently, supposedly for the purpose of his reviews.
We've got the Yu-Gi-Oh! Retro packs here that I bought for $23.74 with my pro membership. We're going to open these and see if we get any bangers. Opening Adam Devine's Super Starter Kit.
I don't know who would be watching these. Any adult men who stumble across them and don't know who he is will undoubtedly quickly become aware of the number of disturbing habits that he partakes in. And any children run the risk of ending up in one of his many Discord servers. But more on that later. It's important to keep in mind that during this period of joblessness, Nova's mother began demanding rent money from him, which is fair given that he is 20 years old and does not contribute to the household whatsoever. But it seems like instead of doing that, he decided to spend his money on something else. Water bottles. Nova developed a very strange fascination with containers that hold water, an interest that, much like his bracelets, I have a very hard time wrapping my head around. In particular, he's a big fan of flavored water, having a hard time drinking anything that isn't infused with a bunch of additives. For example, at one point, he decided to purchase a water bottle from Air Up, a company that creates flavored water bottles. And of course, he wanted to review it for his audience to see. After all, his endorsement or condemnation is sure to make or break any product.
We've tried Circle. We've tried Sela. Now, let's try Air Up. Out of price, this one was the most expensive at $40, when I think I paid about $25 for my Sela. Observing the bottle, this feels very well built. But it doesn't feel like it's the same quality as Circle. It came with 5 pods, and I think I am going to do the peach first. Let's add our water. This definitely feels like it's more than 22 ounces. Now let's stick the straw back into the bottle and just push it down. Now let's open the peach pod. Oh! It smells like peach yogurt.
Pull it up to activate, and let's try it out. Daibocha. Honestly, yeah. I think it is safe to say Arup is a scam.
He was so sure that it was a scam, he said it's safe to say. It looks like this product's entire value is going down the drain. Arup bros. It's literally never been more over. And then, all of a sudden, Nova came back.
Hey y'all, it's me about 5 minutes after I'm about to end the video. I didn't push the pot up far enough, so I didn't taste the peach. But this time, I actually am tasting the peach, and it actually tastes like peach. So, Arup is not a scam.
I feel like maybe this video could have just been cut in half or something and he could have done the review again, just re-recording it. Instead, he decided to basically just call this product a scam before realizing he was using it wrong 5 minutes later. If anyone was actually taking this guy's product review seriously, who knows? Maybe they would have clicked on this video and not seen the end and immediately not bought the product. It seems like every week or so, Nova would have a new plastic drinking container to share with his audience. And while obviously this isn't really harmful to anyone or anything except for his own wallet, it is interesting to me that he's taken such a liking to, of all things, water bottles. I've seen a lot of people out there with some pretty strange interests, but this one I am just plain confused by. Not even disgusted, just why?
Could this water bottle put Circle out of business? I got the Sela water bottle. Now, if you've seen my comments on one of my recent videos, you may know this already. Now, it's going to be a little bit hard to compare this to Circle because these water bottles are different. However, some of their flavors are still the same. So, I'm going to stick in the Fruit Punch Sela Pod and the Crisp Green Apple Sela Pod, and we're going to see how good it tastes. Alright, let's go ahead and try to insert this. Push it up. Up. Okay, I managed to get it inside. Let's fill it up with water. Now, this water bottle may look massive, but this thing only holds 20 ounces because of these little eyesores in the back. So, I think we're going to try the Crisp Green Apple, and then I'm going to drink the whole bottle, and then we're going to try the Fruit Punch. So, let's pump the flavor.
It's crazy how long it takes Nova to say literally anything. I would guess that the reason he does this is to pad out the runtime of the video, but we are 1 full minute in and almost nothing has been said. But it turns out that this water bottle has one major flaw. If you tip it upside down, water comes out.
Also, a massive flaw with these water bottles is that if you tip it upside down, the flavor will just pour out. I learned that the hard way with the Crisp Green Apples, so... It's
so over for us bottle bros. We literally lost in such a major way that I cannot even describe it. Someone ended up calculating that Nova is spending a total of around $353 a month on this flavored water, which is insane. I do not know how he does that. But thankfully, that's nothing to a successful TikTok star like him. With content as good as this, the TikTok community stood to lose a lot if he went away. And due to the government proposing a federal ban on TikTok due to supposed Chinese influence on the app, there was a very real possibility of that actually happening. And obviously, Nova was pretty scared. TikTok is really all he has. When he thought the ban would be going through, he decided to give a wistful farewell to his followers.
Well, guys, this is it. If you're an American and seeing this, this may very well be the last TikTok you're seeing from me. If my VPN strategy does not work out, then it's game over for me unless I find a second job. I'm really struggling. Not even McDonald's wants to hire me. Nobody wants to... Don't crash out, Nova. Do not crash out on your last video. That's what job withdrawal does to me. I've been going a month and a half without a job, and I'm sick of it!
If the ban actually did happen, it would have been the end. Thankfully for him, his account remained up, and he was able to pursue another avenue: comedy. You see, in the midst of releasing his fast food reviews, Gabe realized he could add a little spice, and maybe that spice would help get the views up. He also made sure to name drop queso, probably hoping that he would notice.
Jack in the Crack versus Wendy's Nuts. Which one has the better spicy chicken sandwich? Starting off with Queso's favorite, Wendy's. And they double wrapped it.
They triple wrap this. What? What? They quadruple wrap this thing. What the hell? Okay, to whoever was manning the chicken sandwich at the Post Falls Wendy's, get better at your wrapping skills. Like, this is outrageous. And this isn't even right. Oh, wait a minute. It is. It is. Oh, I'm a dumbass. I didn't see the tomato and mayo. Anyways, bone apple teeth.
I once again have to wonder who exactly he is making this for. His fast food reviews have yet to really take off and be popular in any way, with the only exception being that first video that went viral. And what went viral about it was not that he was reviewing food, it was that he is himself. But as we'll find out a bit later, Nova loves and craves attention for his antics, desperately. But it seems that Wendy's had to be bumped a bit lower on the tier list, as unfortunately, it had a slightly negative effect on Nova's bowels.
Hey y'all, so I think I'm gonna go stop going to the Wendy's that I normally go to, because I ordered a spicy chicken sandwich from that store today, and I ended up getting one that was wrapped like 6 times, and the veggies were not fresh at all, and they looked like dog shit. So
to be clear, he never said that's what happened, but he is shirtless in bed at 3 a.m., feeling the need to make a TikTok about how there was something rotten or stale or something in his food, and it's somehow upsetting his systems is the only real reason I can think to do something like this. And keep in mind also that he has a thing for diapers and anything involving being a baby generally, so who knows what kind of nefarious activity was going on that we are not privy to. It's always important to be thankful for the Lovecraftian horrors you haven't yet been exposed to. Now, during this time without employment, Nova was looking around for a lot of opportunities. The problem is that instead of looking on a site like Indeed or just calling local businesses to see if they were hiring, he just decided to look through his email. The email address related to his NovaOnline accounts, so you can probably see where this is going.
I think I fell for it again. Victim to another fake job offer. My god, I fell for it twice. Unless the supposed supervisor can somehow prove to me that it wasn't fake, then I fell for it again. I asked Gemini, there's no mention of a restaurant opening up at the address they provided me. It's just that I think I fell for it again.
I don't know why he didn't just take the normal route of applying for jobs. Typically, employers don't reach out to you unless you have a college degree with a specific set of specifications and you're listed on some job site. But what can I really expect from this guy at this point? In the eternal quest for content, another one of Nova's passions also began to rise to the surface: singing. He would often ask subscribers what song he should sing next to try and get those vocal cords warmed up. Unfortunately, during one particularly sad dry spell, he was going through a severe lack of suggestions. So he decided to make the suggestion himself, and then post a TikTok responding to it as if someone else had given him the idea.
Sing to the hellfire till your lungs give out. Alright, you know that's a deathcore song, right? R.I.P. to my lungs, and I'll try my best to do that.
I don't know if he just doesn't actually realize we can see the account name right there. I almost want to think this is some kind of 5D chess move to troll people into thinking he's dumb, but in reality, he probably just is dumb and just didn't think anyone would even notice. Eventually, though, he did get a real subscriber suggestion, and he absolutely knocked it out of the park.
Chicken. See if I'm a chicken, yes, Stacy is hell. Ooh, mama, see now you're ringing the bell. Raise me and juicy, now you're having a snack. Ooh, super spicy, it's a lovely child.
He even covered a heavier song, a more vocally intensive song from the band Slipknot. Let's see how he did.
I did my time, and I want to go up to the face. It doesn't touch. There's no vibrant.
I think there's no doubt he made every member of the band and every fan out there very proud. Cheers to you, my good sir. Nova would also attempt to broaden his horizons when he sang a song entirely in Spanish. And frankly, it appears to me that if he had gone to college, Espanol would have been his major.
Yo le mañana soy el metal. Voy acelerando y mando el pan. Soy conversado, se le gustó. Oh yeah, ya, ya me está gustando más de lo normal.
Todos necesitan trayendo más. Ese agitando sin capuro. Despacito. Quiero esperar.
He then attempted the Ice Bucket Challenge, albeit a few years late to the trend. But hey, better late than never. Curiously, he would nominate some interesting names to do the challenge after him.
And I have been nominated to do the USC Speak Your Mind Ice Bucket Challenge. So, before we start, I just want to say two things. First off, I would like to nominate Kiwi Tapes and Smokey MCC to do this challenge.
For the unaware, Smokey MCC and Kiwi Tapes are two channels who cover him extensively on YouTube, with updates every month at the least. If I could give Nova my advice, I would say he probably should just be ignoring those guys, considering it's not like they really like him at all. And why would they? But he seems to have a hard time not acknowledging his trolls anyway, so I guess shouting out some YouTubers who document your degeneracy isn't too far out of line for him. One other fixation that Nova has developed over the last while is Belgium, as in the country Belgium. He goes as far as to call himself a Belgium advocate.
Hey all my 18 plus and Eurovision fans, so I'm glad San Marino qualified, but I am pissed Belgium didn't qualify. As you know, I'm a huge Belgium advocate. I'm disappointed. I'm not sure how bad their song was, but because I missed Eurovision today, but I've always got Thursday.
As far as I've been able to figure out, this fixation came out of nowhere, and I really can't explain it. I wish I had more of an explanation. I have no idea what is specifically great about Belgium. No shade to the country or its people, just why? The inner workings of his mind truly are an enigma. He also references Belgium in his link tree, where he writes, "American, but I wish I was Belgian." And then, in some Belgian text that I translated, he writes, "Just a TikToker who poops too much. K3 is my inspiration." Nova would go live on TikTok during this time as well to stream himself playing video games. The issue was that you couldn't actually see the game he was playing, and Nova provided no further commentary. So this was just a video of him sitting in silence, allowing his chins to be seen freely to the world while he stared into the distance. But gaming stuff was pretty run-of-the-mill for Gabriel by this point, and there were a lot of other areas of interest he wanted to explore. He posted saying that he would be creating a brand new type of content for him. His first film review would be coming soon. It's kind of jarring how frequently he flips between different kinds of content, with the only real thing tying them together being that he is responsible for it. A true Renaissance man. But the response from the audience ended up being exactly what you'd expect, as when he offered for people to guess what his first review would be of, they instantly declared that he would be reviewing cuties. Apparently, Nova's various pursuits as a young entrepreneur weren't quite working out. He hadn't gotten on Shark Tank yet, so he began looking for employment anywhere he could get it.
Hey 18 plus fans, I'm still struggling to find a job because, as I've said before, not even McDonald's wants me. So if you're a manager looking for a job, once again, hit me up, ea5080797@gmail.com, and message me from your @businessname.com email so I know it's legit. I'm not falling for another fake job offer.
If this was anyone else, I would say that asking your followers for job opportunities isn't necessarily a bad idea. The problem is that this is NovaOnline we're talking about. Openly asking your followers for job interviews is bound to turn up trolls with fake offers. Or, if he does get a real offer, the placement will inevitably leak, and some troll will contact his job and potentially get him fired, or at the very least, harass the people there. The job search was becoming more and more desperate, and while Nova seemed to enjoy his time away initially, it seemed like his financial situation was getting worse and worse. He would announce that he was $400 in debt and had basically no way to pay it off. Thankfully, on May 4th of 2025, he announced that there was finally some progress being made.
Hey 18 plus fans, so I think I may have scored myself a new job, finally. I just had an interview today. It went super well, and so well that the manager asked for my phone number, my personal one, and yeah. I think I've got a good choice at it, y'all. This is unbelievable. After 5 months in the gutter, finally, your boy's becoming employed again.
Nova is known for lying, so initially it seemed a bit dubious whether or not this was even real. But he did give some specific details, like that the manager asked for his phone number. So people were more willing to believe that something good was actually going to come out of this. Maybe with the presence of a new job, he could finally get off the internet and turn things around. A few days later, Nova announced in a comment that his employment would begin the next day.
Hey, I'll take Nova Cadre. I noticed a lot of you were asking how my first day at work went. I worked a night shift. As you can see, it's like 10 p.m. at the time of recording this. And I'm just going to tell you how my first day went. Like, it went pretty smoothly, and I pretty much had no issues with any of my workers, except that some of them were quite annoyed at some of the tables, which is kind of fair. Like, I sometimes get how servers can be in the back of the house versus part of the house. So yeah, to answer your question, how my first work shift at the new workplace went, it went pretty smooth, no issues at all, and I actually had fun working. Like, first time being employed in 5 months. Whew. Damn, I missed working.
To his credit, Nova actually managed to avoid complaining for once, and even seemed kind of glad to finally have some money coming in. This kind of stability in his life had the potential to turn things around and make him a more normal person. The less time someone like him spends online with the ability to collect even more allegations, the better. And despite the amount of negative attention he was getting, some of his followers were more than happy to see him improve. But nothing good can ever last for NovaOnline. On the 14th of May, less than 2 weeks after starting his job, he announced that he had already lost it and was all the way back to square one. People initially thought this may have had something to do with trolls contacting his place of work, which had happened in the past. But as they were correct to point out, if that had been the case, Nova probably would have talked about it like every other time. So what happened? Well, clarification for this would come out pretty quickly, as one of his co-workers came out to fill in the blanks. Now, I want to preface this by saying a few things. Firstly, the majority of the story is boring, and I've cut out some of it. Secondly, this video is kind of unnecessary to make, and really is just another random person who had fine interactions with Nova, trying to cash in on getting attention from a very limited interaction that he had with him. Thirdly, this is all hearsay. That being said, the things he says seem to be pretty consistent with the way Nova does everything else in his life.
And I worked a couple shifts, and I realized that he's just a weird kid, and he would play weird brain rot TikTok music in the kitchen over everyone else's music. He would consistently ask everyone, guess what? And then you would say what? And he'd say, these nuts.
He states that Gabe was a very lazy worker. Instead of using a tomato slicer, he would slice each tomato individually, making it take as long as possible. Other tasks that are simple for everyone else would also take far longer than necessary as well. One thing this guy made sure to point out was that Gabe basically refused to clean any dishes, and in general was lackluster at cleaning his workstation. During one interaction, Gabe specifically asked this coworker to clean up Gabe's workstation, to which this guy replied, just do it yourself. While this all could be completely false, this guy's story is believable enough that I think it's probably true.
And he just turns around, walks away, and says, thanks for the fucking help. Or, he said it in this voice, thanks for the fucking help.
Not to mention the fact that this is all consistent with what we already know about Nova's cleaning habits in general. Take, for example, the series of videos where Nova cooks himself some corned beef and cabbage.
A few weeks ago, I made corned beef and cabbage. Now that's a totally different one.
By screenshotting some of his cooking videos, we can see that his kitchen is generally in a state of uncleanliness, so he must have been serious when he said he was cleaning the house at his own pace. His own pace being not cleaning at all. I mean, I seriously have to ask if any cleaning was happening at all during the saga, because it seems to me like he wasn't getting very much done whatsoever. Anytime he shows his kitchen, we can see a pile of dirty dishes just sitting there. A pile that has been there for days, weeks, and months, well into the time the cleaning arc was supposed to have started.
First, coat the pan with some oil. I already cooked some eggs, so that's why it's got a little bit of egg stuff on it.
Another co-worker would also give his own interview about his experience working with Nova, and it's here where some more details come into play. He reiterates the prior claim that Nova is extremely lazy, which, while it is expected, it's even more surprising given that he wasn't even a full-time employee. He was working 4-hour shifts 4 days a week. He would also claim that Nova's strange interests extend further than his bedroom and Discord messages, with him actively wearing diapers to his job. The final piece of new information was in regards to how his job ended. They claim that Nova quit his job because because he felt he was making enough money from his cameo, so he no longer needed the income from Denny's. However, I doubt that he was truly making that much. In all reality, he probably was just a bad employee, and maybe some part of him even knew that, so he did everyone else a favor and just quit so he could go be lazy by himself, rather than pawning off his problems onto other people. Shortly after leaving this employment, Nova began self-reflecting a bit on his life, and perhaps even realized that he wasn't quite where he wanted to be.
I feel like I'm just really behind in life. So, I'm class of 2022, right? And I go on Facebook like once every 1 to 2 months. And every time I do, I see some of my former classmates, some of the same ones that I graduated with, are way more ahead in life. Like, they're starting families, they're getting married. I haven't done any of that yet. I feel so far behind, and it's been making me hella depressed. I just feel like no matter what, I'm going backwards and not forward. It's been on my mind lately.
It's moments like these that once again make me almost feel bad for him. Here he is, realizing that while his peers are going through college, graduating, starting families, and getting high-paying jobs thanks to their education, he has none of that. He still lives with his family, leeches off of their food, has no real income, and can't stop embarrassing himself on the internet. There's no real upwards trajectory. He's just stagnating in the state that he's in. When he self-reflects, it almost makes me think that he's gonna turn it around. But no. Instead, we go right back to the status quo, posting TikToks every day with terrible content that almost no one watches. Now, out of a job, again, he had to find some other revenue stream. Apparently, Cameo wasn't actually making enough money. When he thought TikTok was going to shut down again for good due to the proposed federal ban, he was obviously stressed out about it. At this point, I wonder if I'm even worth anything. No one wants to hire me, I might be losing my only source of income, and generally, I'm just about to give up. Thankfully for him, the platform's status wouldn't remain up in the air, as it seems the government stopped pushing the agenda altogether. But even with his main platform up, he would receive some very bad news.
So, as many of you know, I got removed from the Creator Fund a few days ago. A lot of my higher effort videos were posted on here. They take more time to make, they get more views. So this month, expect a lot of NovaCord related videos and more lower effort food reviews. TikTok thinks they can phase me, they cannot.
Whenever he says NovaCord, what he's referring to is videos about his paracord bracelets, as without any income from TikTok, he was hoping to push them even more and make a few bans. But what's more interesting to me is Nova referring to so-called high-effort content. I haven't hidden anything from you guys. The content I've shown in this video, as far as food reviews and him failing to clean up his house, is his content. He basically just films whatever he would be doing even if the camera wasn't there. So whatever this high-effort content may be in his mind, it must actually exist in some parallel universe where he makes short films and custom beats for rappers or something like that, because the high effort content is not in the room with us right now. It's unknown exactly why he was removed from the monetization program, with some speculating it was due to reports from people following his story. But Nova himself seems unaware of the true reason.
Hey y'all, it's Nova Kadri. So apparently I'm not the only one getting kicked off the Creator Fund. So one of my favorite TikTokers, Owen Wesley, he's also a local TikToker in my area. He's having the same issues with TikTok, except he's got it way worse. So, Owen, if you're watching this, I totally feel your pain of getting kicked out from the Creator Fund, and hopefully TikTok gets us all resolved soon, because we didn't deserve this.
He stated that his paracord business wasn't selling as much as he would have liked, leading him to consider an even more drastic option: OnlyFans. That is how dire the situation was getting. Thankfully for everyone's sake, this option was put on the back burner, at least for the time being. While he wasn't making money on TikTok, he was able to farm some donations over on YouTube, where he was streaming late into the night. That isn't a terrible idea on its face, as streaming takes relatively little effort, even when compared to his typical food review or exercise videos, and you can easily collect donations the entire time. These streams, however, are a complete disaster. On one hand, the majority of his streams are pretty boring and hard to get through, even for a few minutes. But to add insult to injury, anytime he goes live, trolls will pester him and he'll end up having a pretty bad time.
I don't understand. You, Google. That's why I switched to Alexa. No, you. Sabao. Sideways. Screw Mario Lord. He's doing a one-sided beef right now. No, you put the fries in the bag.
If you didn't catch that there, Nova threw out a diss to Mario Lord. He's an interesting figure in his own right, with multiple documentaries made about him available on YouTube. This is one of many attempts from Gabe to distance himself from people who, in all honesty, are quite similar to him.
I literally just got
haircut and shampoo today. How the fuck do I mute chat on YouTube? They're spamming the fuck out of it. Motherfucker! YouTube chat's out of control. Take that, YouTube. My girlfriend's 21. I should sell paracords at the carnival? Ooh, I would have to get permission from Cooney County to do that. Oh, god damn it. Mom still has the scissors.
It also appears that at one point, Gabe suddenly had to get up from his stream and run somewhere. And I'm not totally sure about this, but I think it's because he had a bit of an accident. Listen closely. Maybe this guy does need to wear adult diapers after all. But by far the biggest issue with streaming, especially this late into the night, is that Nova lives in a pretty small house, and it seems like his streams were keeping his family awake, leading his mother to yell at him. His thoughts during this time grew so dark, he even expressed ideations of taking his own life. He was apparently so desperate for people to talk to that he gave out his phone number, albeit it was a Google phone number and not the real phone number tied to his SIM card. However, within a few hours he was feeling better, and he thought of a new use for his number being out there for so many people.
Remember that number I posted earlier? I posted it when I was kind of in like an iffy state. Well, guys, that number is now officially a new way to order your Nova cords.
And in the end, he decided it was worth fighting. He wasn't about to let his mental state deteriorate, at least not without a fight, leading to this extremely epic and emo video of him.
I'm done being the one everyone picks on.
I'm done playing nice, and I'm done with this bullshit. Prepare for a whole new side of me.
Like a phoenix rising from the ashes, he would set out to diss everyone who wronged him. Well, not exactly. Instead, he decided to do a performance of the Kendrick Lamar song Not Like Us, with him using it to call out 3 fellow lolcows: Jupiter the Hybrid, Mario Lord, and Andy Ditch. It's worth taking a moment here to acknowledge that Gabriel is somewhat delusional about his place in the world. He sees himself as a content creator, one who does have some controversies, but a content creator nonetheless in the traditional sense. Meanwhile, everyone else sees him as the poster child for being a Discord moderator who has failed to amount to much beyond some unsavory messages to people he shouldn't have sent them to about diapers and binkies, and probably especially that video of him singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star. The only real content he creates is when people make videos about him, not his own stuff. And while he does have a very small following of sycophants, they are basically as delusional, if not more delusional than him, which is kind of a tough thing to accomplish, but they do it. He tries to separate himself from Andy Ditch, a man who fakes having autism and wears diapers all day to the detriment of his family, and Jupiter the Hybrid, someone who has a very similar story to Nova and even kind of looks like him. They could be cousins. But in reality, they are all dejected individuals who live in filth, with Nova perhaps being the most infamous of the four, which explains why the top comment on the TikTok would read, "They like us." Another funny suggestion was that they could all create a content house together, and as hilarious as that idea is, I think these three in the same room may genuinely be a sign of the end times, and I'd at least like to see the next Batman movie before the rapture comes. So, thanks but no thanks, let's not open the portal to hell just yet. To make matters worse, the trolls were also getting a bit more uppity during this period. One, named Bobby, would email Nova attempting to order 6 paracord bracelets.
So as you guys know, I have a paracord business called NovaCord, and it's costing me a lot of this. But still, that doesn't try to stop people from getting in the way. So right now I'm taking orders through email. And there's this guy called Bobby. Yes, I'm using the name on the email. But there's this guy, he emailed me wanting 6 yellow and green paracord bracelets. And yeah, I told him the total, and then he started asking me all of these questions, like, is your paracord edible? Is your paracord strong enough for survival?
Gabe was initially very happy to oblige, but Bobby kept sending him links to try and get Nova to click them, which he was able to sniff out just in time, figuring out that it was probably an IP grabber to grab his IP address and either get his location or get into his accounts or something like that. He also acknowledges here that his paracord business is costing him a lot of money, and if we believe that, it's honestly just sad, considering the paracord is very very inexpensive and he sells it at a large markup, that must mean almost no one is buying these things. Meanwhile, in real life, some persistent A-logs went to his house to leave him a letter. Someone else had sent him another letter with a negative review of his paracord bracelets, which also included a nude image of fellow TikTok god Cyrax. Then, someone told his mom about his interest in diapers and the fact that he may have had some in his room. She was not too pleased.
Are they sending my mom? Like, I'm literally just here peacefully making paracord, and people are calling my mom.
While some of this stuff can be kind of funny, mailing anything to people's houses or going there in real life is a bad idea for so many reasons. Do not go to people's houses. It appears all of this was making Nova more paranoid, as during his usual food reviews, he attempted to disguise himself with a pair of sunglasses.
Guys, it's me. I just have to disguise on so no will recognize me, because there's been a lot of trolls that have recognized me on the bus lately. I'm in public right now, so. Anyways, I got this Nutella turnover from a local bakery called Sebastian's. This was $3, and I'm gonna see if it is worth it.
As much as I can appreciate the attempt, I have to say, I don't think it quite did the job. Maybe he should have added a funny mustache and nose if he really wants to blend in with the public. Despite his lack of income, food reviews once again continued during this time, as he would order multiple steaks for himself via DoorDash and compare them all for his audience to see.
Texas Roadhouse versus Black Angus Steakhouse. Which one has the better prime rib? First, Texas Roadhouse playing. Texas Roadhouse is the best of 3 major steakhouse chains.
Aside from the fact that there is no way Nova is getting a return on his investment of buying 3 steak dinners in one day for his content, it's just reckless to spend money on this in the first place considering he has no job. He himself would post about how much being unemployed was weighing on him, as he basically had nothing to do all day but film boring videos and read mean comments. Of course, he could apply for another job, but that idea seemed to escape him for the time being.
Scary jump scares that will make you fart.
Okay, let's see if I get scared.
Something's wrong with him. That's not human, man. You're not regular, man.
Unable to bring in any serious attention of his own, he began trying to capitalize on the popularity of other YouTubers, and he aimed as high as possible, reviewing a toy that he bought created by Mr. Beast of all people. When that didn't work, he decided to reach out directly to some YouTubers. For example, Jadion. For the unaware, Jadion is a YouTuber who has done a lot of different kinds of videos, but in present day, he's been very successful doing creep catching content. In all of these stings, there is a decoy present, an adult who pretends to be underage so that when the perpetrator in question winds up at the sting house, their guard is let down for a bit before Jadion comes in and tells them to take a seat. Because he has no self-awareness, Nova tried to reach out to him to be one of these decoys. Yo, I turned 21 in 2 months. Can I still apply to be a decoy? The only reply in this screenshot is someone recognizing Nova instantly and saying, dude, which, to be honest, about sums up how anyone should feel about the situation. It seems that Jadion wasn't keen to have this popping celebrity in his videos. His loss, of course. But all of this was frustrating for our main character. He hadn't gotten a job, he hadn't made any progress in the gym, and worst of all, it was his fault. Naturally, he chose to blame the government. I hate my life. I can't even look at myself and not want to throw up. I'm so sick and tired of my life and the way our government treats us. I hate it here. I'm moving to Belgium the second I can afford it. This situation was so frustrating that he updated his followers that he had put a few holes in his wall. Although I would encourage him to take some boxing classes or something if he wants to impress anyone with that. Meanwhile, he made sure to continue posting his regular stuff, going outside to review some chicken that he got, this time without his disguise.
Also, I'm sorry if I sound off. I'm in a quite bad mood right now because I'm sick of no one wanting to hire me for a job, so I'm desperate at this point.
The reality is, there are plenty of places he could apply to who would accept him, as long as he were to not post about it on the internet. He could maintain whatever job he gets. Maybe getting a haircut would help too, so his greasy lion's mane doesn't make it so easy for people to instantly clock who he is. No offense. Well, maybe some offense. A few people had also seen him in public during this time, going about his typical routine. One of them even attempted to inform his mother about all of his online shenanigans when they spotted him shopping at Walmart. There's no doubt that his mom, considering she's a part of of an older generation, likely is not up to date on what her son spends his time doing, especially when it comes to just how degenerate he really is. But I will say that reaching out to his parents probably isn't a good idea. I don't think you should do that, and this conversation ultimately didn't seem to yield any real results.
No, you put the fries in the bag.
It seemed like Nova was getting more desperate for interaction with his followers, as his online presence was slipping into irrelevancy.
Challenge for you. If you guys can DM me the one college football team I give a damn about within the next 24 hours, I'll give you a free Nova cord. Try and guess.
Naturally, the comments were filled with people telling him they wouldn't be messaging him, as well as things like, challenge, keep a job for longer than a month, and a challenge for you, take a shower. Another piece of interesting news would come when Nova apparently got a letter in the mail, which informed him that someone had tried to sign him up to be a member of Scientology, the infamous cult that many celebrities, namely Tom Cruise, is a part of.
Bitch-ass trolls tried to sign me up for Scientology bullshit. It's a cult. Here's what I gotta say to that. Never again.
Maybe joining could give him some sense of camaraderie. Just imagine Nova and Xenu chilling out in their DC-8-like spacecraft. Real gangster stuff. It's worth saying that not everyone around Nova had been preying on his downfall. While the trolls were making fun of him, one of his close online friends did try to give him direction on turning things around. For the sake of Nova's mental health and his family's safety, I'm encouraging him to get a steady job and remove his need to use TikTok to support himself. He enjoys making TikToks, but the reality is most of his viewers and followers are just trolls, and nothing good is going to come from it for him. I've discussed it with Nova. There's a chance when he gets another job and is sure he can hold on to it, he will deactivate his accounts and step off the internet, effectively deplatforming him. It'll suck for him for sure. He really loves content creation, but he can't keep it up and live a happy life. It's surprising that someone so close to him had such a sober view of his situation, directly acknowledging that his online presence was not only a blight on humanity, but also a detriment to himself. This online friend unfortunately wouldn't stick around for long, leaving Nova down one confidant.
I just lost one of my biggest supports in my life now. If you want to know, Connor just unfriended me out of the blue. And he was a really big support for me. Now I have just one person left.
But it seems like instead of getting a job or spending less time online, like this guy advised, Gabe had other plans. He wanted some more friends, and where better to meet them than in a brand new Discord server. On May 24th, 2025, NovaOnline would make a major announcement.
Ladies and gents, tomorrow, another big announcement about NovaCord is coming soon. And the relaunch of the Discord server is coming soon. And this time, it's 18 plus. So I know nothing's bad's gonna happen to it.
It's difficult to say why he even wants to have a Discord server at this point. The last few times he had them, they were complete disasters. They were terribly moderated, allowing minors to enter and be exposed to stuff that they just shouldn't be seeing. And in the end, the servers would eventually be flooded by trolls looking to make Nova angry. But for whatever reason, he seems to be genetically, ethnically compelled to make them. It's something in his DNA. It's likely he wants to connect with people and vent to randoms on the internet about his problems, which is always a good idea. But he thought that this time it would be different. He would make sure that only people over 18 years old would be allowed to enter. But how would he do this? I'll just let him explain.
ID verification is very complicated. It's like an honor system in the server, but if you if you are suspected to be underage, you will have to ID verify.
Ah yes, the honor system. The most reliable way to make sure that the people in your Discord server are supposed to be there. Trust me, bro. His head admin for the server would relate on this a bit more once the server had been launched, saying, "We assume everyone is 18 plus at the door, as all channels are age restricted, but we double check when needed." I would like to make the case that someone like NovaOnline should just not have any kind of chat room, Discord server, or community in the first place. But who would listen to me? Signs of trouble were already brewing from the very beginning. Immediately, Nova began begging his fans for money. His main admin posted to the announcements channel with the same message multiple times. "Sorry to ping, but this is urgent. Nova needs $900 by Friday." And this guy also shared a link to his Cash App. It's unknown how much, if any, funds were actually sent to his account, although we can be sure that at least one server member was interested in helping. What's also known is that his own mother found out about him e-begging, and she wasn't too happy about it. "Now my mom is mad at me. I need need the money by Friday. She's charging me rent while she waits for her SSI to be approved. I hate to point it out again, but there's no doubt that if Nova would just stop spending his money on water bottles, paracord, and DoorDash, he would certainly have enough money by now to pay rent to his mom. There's also the question of if he even needed this money at all, at least for the purpose he claims that it's for. What's also interesting is that right from the beginning, Nova seemed very aware of the fact that stuff from the server would be leaked at some point, saying, "I know Solidus Nova is gonna haul ass and post this." The name Solidus Nova belonging to an account that documents all of his daily happenings. And yet, he continued to talk very frankly with his little community about the debacle. If that wasn't enough oversharing for one day, he also made sure to let his new friends know that he did, in fact, fill up his latest diaper. Despite how effective the honor system was supposed to be, within just hours, it could be seen that a 17-year-old had joined the server. But that's not that bad, right? I mean, they're almost 18. Well, at one point, a voice call was apparently held in which a 15-year-old Discord user joined and delivered a beautiful singing performance. Considering we know Nova is an amateur singer himself, it's only natural that he gave this 15-year-old mod status. And before long, it was alleged that a 14-year-old and a 15-year-old were talking about their age on the server for everyone to see, and nothing was done about it. According to a few different sources, it wouldn't be long before not safe for work material began populating the server. A 32-year-old user who was a furry joined requesting that a furry channel be added, and all of this officially marked the beginning of the latest Discord server meltdown. As trolls found out about the server's existence, they joined in droves, posting pictures of Nova with a binky in his mouth to try and trigger him. Immediately, his head admin sprung into action, stating that anyone caught posting the fake images would be banned. The images are, in fact, not fake, as there's a long documented history of his interest in diapers and his binky artifact collection. Regardless, a few of the new moderators were promptly banned for their bad behavior and failing to enforce the rules set in place, even as not safe for work discussions continued to occur. One person asks if Nova can sit on a dildo. Another declares that anyone not 18 plus will be sent to Pound Town. Word of the server's existence was spreading far and wide by now, as trolls began finding invites and joining in droves. Pictures of Nova shirtless were spammed, as people called him a variety of names, the most prominent being to call him a pedo. Within hours, some more sophisticated individuals began joining as well, those with enough technical know-how to seriously screw things up for Gabe. Every channel name was changed to Fat Pedo Gets Hacked, and the hackers began spamming to the world, declaring victory over their target. At the time all of this was going on, Nova was actually live, and he didn't take it very well.
The server got nuked! The server! No! I want to die, I swear to God! And there goes the server. Seriously? Me sideways!
I don't mean to encourage the hacking here, as not only would that be against the law, but I also would say that what these guys did was totally unnecessary. What I will say is that it's shocking how events seem to repeat themselves. We've seen almost this exact chain of events before. Nova starts up an unnecessary Discord server with the intention of venting to others online. Due to poor moderation, material that shouldn't be there gets posted. Eventually, trolls flood the server, spam embarrassing stuff about Nova, and it ends with the server being officially hacked. Nova ended his stream, posting to Twitter that he was not doing well mentally. And as much as people will make fun of this, it makes sense. His entire sense of self-worth comes from the internet. When things go wrong with his community shenanigans, it ruins his entire week, because why wouldn't it? With no job, very few friends outside of people he's met online, no consistent exercise, and constant consumption of fast food, why wouldn't he be feeling down? But the trolls would take it a step further. His uncle would have his phone number leaked, leading to a number of them contacting him, an event for which Nova felt some partial responsibility.
Mom, this is urgent. Urgent. Andy just texted me again. His phone number got leaked, and now he's waiting.
Word was quickly getting out about what was happening, and Nova felt the need to respond. And he would, in the most NovaOnline universe way possible, by freaking out.
I'm never making another Discord server again. This is the fourth. My life, everything. I'm done.
As in character as this is, there's some part of me that feels like this is a calculated response. The reason I say that is, well, it's just too perfect. The way he holds the camera under his chin, the way his voice starts off normal and then gets high-pitched as it goes on, before somehow dropping his phone. I mean, he could have easily re-recorded this before posting it so he doesn't drop his phone. But maybe I'm being too conspiracy-brained here. On the record, I'll take the tinfoil hat off and say that this is his real, genuine reaction. Whatever the case is, this entire situation would end up having a silver lining for the time being. That silver lining being that it went absolutely viral. As of me recording this, it has 9.1 million views, a number that only seems to be climbing more and more. Nova saw the numbers and knew there was a big opportunity for him to capitalize on. He didn't care that everyone who saw his account was just making fun of him. That's why his next upload was him singing a song to instigate the trolls even more.
This is something you trolls need to do, and something that I am working on doing. I will pay ya, no way! No, why don't you get a job?
The irony of him telling others to get a job is, well, it's so strong that I don't even need to explain any further. But it wouldn't stop there. The police would show up at Nova's door after receiving a report that he had kidnapped someone. Someone said I was holding my nephew hostage. They put me in handcuffs and took me to the cruiser and everything. Then they searched the whole house, and after they found out it was a SWAT attempt, they decided to question me on who might have done this. Nova goes on to explain that 10 police officers showed up to his house, plus 2 extra police cars blocking off the ends of the road to his house. They apparently searched the entire building, put him in cuffs. He thought he was getting arrested, but he was able to eventually explain the situation to them and prevent himself from being taken down to the station. Despite how disgusting Nova can be, I don't think I should be the first one to say that this is obviously too far. If Nova is going to get arrested for his inappropriate interactions, then let it happen the right way. All a swatting does is waste taxpayer money and police officer time that could be spent dealing with violent crimes or offenses that can actually be prosecuted. And to make matters worse, at the same time all of this was happening, Nova would also announce that he had been in a car wreck. He stated, "The other car's airbags were deployed and our car looks a bit damaged, but nothing major." However, based on the only available image of what happened, the damage in fact was relatively minor. Regardless, a lot of things were clearly piling on at the same time. Nova posted saying that due to the situation, he would be taking a break from TikTok. And I definitely think that's the right move. Taking some time to recollect himself mentally, and perhaps to even reevaluate his relationship with the internet would definitely do him some good. And the reason I say would is because that didn't happen. The next day he was already back, promoting his paracord bracelet business.
Hey all, so I did say that I was taking a break, however, I am still continuing to fulfill some NovaCord orders, and I'll be posting some soon. So I'm taking a break from normal content, but I'll still be able to do NovaCord stuffs. So yeah, since I've gotten a whole bunch of new followers, let me introduce what NovaCord is.
And while he initially claimed that the swatting traumatized him, it seems like Nova got what he wanted in the end. Attention.
So a video I didn't expect to go viral is now my most liked video ever. The most liked video I ever got was about 770,000 likes. And the video of me freaking out because of my Discord server that I barely cared about anyway has almost 1 million.
You gotta love how he backhandedly states he never even cared about the Discord server anyway. I'm sure the more he states he doesn't care, the more everyone will believe it. They say that it's in the hardest times you grow the most. Nova defies that every day. Through this video, we can see where his priorities lie, which are in TikTok views. At any point, he could just log off the internet entirely, and most, if not all of this, would just stop. And while he is undoubtedly a victim in the swatting and it never should have happened, ultimately there are several other events that led up to it that were easily preventable on his end. But he does not care.
If we could get that video to 1 million likes, that would be my first ever 1 million like video in history. But hey, anyways guys, if you subscribe because of that video, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Well, I'm actually getting so close to 5,000 subs, and I've been wanting a silver play button since I was like 13, and it's been almost 8 years in the making. So if y'all could help a homeboy out, that'd be really appreciated.
All he wants is a silver play button, but that's probably never going to happen because to do that, you actually have to make content that someone likes. When he's not melting down or posting cringe, Nova's content is literally unwatchable. One forum user did the due diligence of going through one of Nova's streams, which was 40 minutes and 22 seconds in length. After cutting out all of the silence, it resulted in a total of less than 4 minutes of Nova actually talking. The rest was coughing, burping, and dead air. And that explains why, despite going viral again every 6 months or so, he's never able to turn any of those people into consistent viewers who support what he does. He is never going to be a proper YouTuber, at least if his content doesn't change. And from there, Nova just resumed his day-to-day, almost like nothing ever happened. Within 48 hours, he was doing karaoke at his friend's house.
Okay, I'm currently at my friend's house. I'm being really quiet. I'm gonna prank him and tell him that the song's very mellow, but I'm gonna go full death metal on him.
You almost have to admire the fact that, through it all, he continues to push on to deliver content to the fans, or rather, the anti-fans. He doesn't even seem particularly upset about the swatting. One thing I noticed about his TikTok when going through it was that he's even pinned a few of his biggest freakouts to his homepage, so he is at least somewhat aware of why people watch him, even if it's not always at the forefront of his mind. He knows that by pinning these, when people stumble across his account, they will find them, and that may lead to some small chance of him getting another viewer or regular troll who will keep up with his life. Immediately after the Discord fiasco, even more photos of Nova would be posted, this time of him dressed like a baby. One of the messages he sent would read, "The passy started to make my mouth sore." Another went something like, "I'm smiling under my mouth tape. Do you want pictures to make sure I'm still a good boy?" When asked if he was tired of the conversation, he would say, "A little bit, but the baby is still a little energetic." He then announced he would be changing into a onesie, which he did in fact do. Truly amazing. And while you would think that this situation would scare him off from making other servers entirely, Gabe made sure to note that he would be starting another one within half a year, so it's likely that a similar cycle will repeat before 2025 is over. But in all of this, it's important to remember that Nova does not exist in a vacuum. Sure, his crash outs may be funny, but he also lives with his mother and the rest of the family who can barely make enough money to scrape by, with his mom still having yet to receive welfare income from the government. Meanwhile, her 20-year-old son refuses to get a job and spends all day being a freak on Discord and posting TikToks, when he could easily be holding down a job and bringing in some cash for the family if he would just step outside of his dungeon. Whether he will ever do that remains to be seen, but for now, it seems like NovaOnline will never learn, and instead will continue ruining his life. I've been Turkey Tom, thanks for watching, and until next time, leave me alone.